Please be seated. I'm getting there. I'm going to get there. I've been trying not to be God all my life. I know I'm going to make it. But the trouble is I still try awfully hard to be God. You think that's funny? We just are that way. Boy, I used to thrash around. I remember that nice, wonderful priest who at that point was about my age as I am now. And I would go and I would talk with him. And he would say, "How are you doing, Mike?" And I would say, "Well, I'm doing this, and I'm doing that, and I'm doing that." "Oh, Mike, how's God doing?" It was sort of pathetic, don't you think? But we just are like that. When I think about it, the only one who wasn't like that was probably Jesus. That's why Jesus is the Messiah. Because he never tried to be God. He let God be God. And there are others too. Moses, Paul. How well they came out in the end of their lives. You remember about Paul, don't you? What a character. You read the letters, and my goodness. Brilliant, but what a character. He was just wild sometimes. But how he came out, you heard it, didn't you? It's in here somewhere, isn't it? Listen how kind he is. Paul, kind? But he was. He came out that way. We were gentle among you. Paul, gentle? Like a nurse tenderly caring for her own children. Paul, a nurse? You know Paul, don't you? Oh, my goodness. So deeply do we care for you that we're determined to share with you not only the good news about God, but also our own selves, because you have become so dear to us. I would like to come out like that, regardless of whether I was a ball of fire turning into a puff of smoke. I'm trying to do these jokes, you know? They're flying like lead balloons. Really, that's how we can come out as God becomes more and more God in our lives. And because God has shown God's face to us in some way, even places like this, God has shown God's face to us in many faces. In many faces. Wonderful faces. Thank God we get there. As the psalmist says, we're like grass, like dust. We last that long. But it doesn't matter, because we get there. And we leave behind a wonderful heritage in our families, in our communities. So it's a tough time. Still going to get there. It's wonderful to think about. So here's something I always want to recommend to you. Forward day by day. I tear it apart regularly. I just carry it around, There's no question that Christianity is facing some serious challenges in the public sphere in the United States. As at other times in history, people in power have co-opted Christ for their own ends. But Paul gives us a recipe for a radically different approach, much more in keeping with Jesus' own way. Jesus never sought control or supremacy in the temple, for instance. Instead, he sought to inform its leadership through his teachings. In his own ministry, he focused on the needs of people he met outside the temple courts, modeling a nurturing approach. Because Paul followed Jesus, Paul didn't seek power. He didn't flaunt his status or his Roman citizenship. Instead, he sought to follow Jesus' example, focusing on the power of love rather than the love of power. Well put. This, by the way, is Alice's button, too. Alice and Rita's. Who else voted yesterday by any chance? Who suffered? Well, just to say that we're glad we did. I'm glad you will. But most of all, I'm glad you're here. It's great to be here. And to, with you, walk the pilgrim way as we let God be God.